So glad y'all are here this morning. We're starting a new series today called Better Together. Did everybody get a copy of the book on their way in? Did anybody not get one yet? Someone not got one yet? All right, we got an awesome, super wonderful helper right now that's going to get one. Does anybody else need a copy of it? Anybody else not get one? Thanks, Madison. Let me go ahead and just walk through real quick what is in here. So at the beginning, there's just a little bit of intro, and some of the things are going to be extra reading. So like during the week, if you want, you can read through that. And so the first part of it is just 6 steps to a better team. This is something that I had written kind of as a supplemental thing to what we're doing during the series. I'll talk about just a little bit of it, like maybe 10% of it, kind of a thing. But then a lot of that you can read through during the week. And then if you forward on about midway through, it starts saying like week 1, day 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, that kind of a thing. All of those are daily readings. And so today is week 1, day 1. And if you want later today, these are just different Bible verses and a little thought that goes along with it about teamwork. And each week, those 7 days worth of readings are on the theme, on the topic that we're looking at for the week. And so if you want to do that, it's just a little daily reading just to carry through this series, some different scripture. And again, we'll look at a couple of these on Sunday mornings, but a lot of this will be extra. And then the last handful of pages at the very back, it'll just say week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. These are the sermon notes, and it's blank. And so what you can do here is this is a section that you can write on and take notes. These are just basic questions. And so if you notice from week to week, it's the exact same things. This is just kind of a help to get you just kind of figuring out, like, what does it look like, when we're listening to a message, how to weed through, what's Dave saying, what's God saying to me through what Dave's doing up on stage, because God has a message for you. And sometimes it's crazy because I'll be saying one thing, but you really feel like God's teaching you something. And what's great about how God teaches us is it can be a little different for every single person in here. And so we'll be reading through some scriptures. I'll have some examples. And God might speak to you a little differently than the person next to you, and that's great. And so these are just some very basic questions to kind of get you started as we're going through the messages. You can take notes and get an idea of what it is we're going through. And so, thanks, Madison. Madison's got pens that she's handing out. And so we're going to be doing that. So if you want, on Sunday mornings, you can just go to the week we're on, and this will be a chance to write down some notes. So we're going to be in week 1 today, and so you can just stay on that week 1 page in the back if you want. Again, some of what I'm talking about will be in the first part of the book, some won't. A lot of this will be supplemental to help you out. So to get started, I'm going to talk a little bit about something that happened on Friday. So how many of you have played on our softball team at some point over the summer? Any of y'all been on our softball team? Raise your hand. We got a lot of proud softball players in here. We have in attendance one man that gave it his all, and he actually broke himself for the benefit of our team. And so thank you, Nathan, for your sacrifice there. But our softball team, so we've been playing all summer long, and this Friday was the last day. Now, the last day was supposed to have happened like a month ago, but it kept getting rained out and rained out. Like, seriously, it would only rain on Fridays. I don't know what was going on with that, but every Friday it was raining. And so there was actually one Friday we started to play, and then we got midway into the first inning, and it just poured down on us. And so we had to cancel the game. And so I go home. My home's like maybe 2 miles away, like not very far. It did not rain at all at my house, like zero. Like I really wish it would have rained in my house, and then it was pouring down on the softball field. And so the last day ended up being a month later. We had 2 games. The first one, we hadn't played in like a month, and oh man, it was rough. And I couldn't hit outside the infield at all, and we were all dropping fly balls, and we got run ruled. And so we get to the last game, and it's the last game of the season, and it's really a big deal because we were still seeking our first W. And so we've been practicing, and a lot of us hadn't played softball before, and so we're figuring it out. And so we've gotten close a couple times. We hadn't gotten that first win. Last game, we switched to the other field, and I made a little comment that we were undefeated on this field because we'd never played on it before. And so it was, I guess, there's a blue field and a red field, or green field and a red field, whatever. It was field number 2. We played our game on that field, and we won. Oh yes, let that sink in. Way off base is a champion of game 8. And so, but it was incredible. So if y'all have ever played softball, ever played a different team sport, I'm just gonna talk about softball today because it kind of fits, but softball is a team game, and especially recreational softball, because the way you can't have a weak link. Like, you're as strong as your weakest link. And so you might have a couple really, really good players. And we have some very good players in our team. And then there's people like me who we don't play softball. And the weakest link is like how strong your team is. And so you can have a few people that are amazing, but nobody will hit towards them when they're in the outfield. They'll hit the other way. And so it really takes a team effort. Everybody's got to catch. Everybody's got to throw to the other person on defense. And then when you're on offense and you're hitting, you can have one really good batter, but if the other 8 or 9 aren't so great, then that one person only gets to play like twice, because the way we play, you play for an hour and then it's done. It's usually like 3 to 5 innings. But if we're doing really bad and the other team's at bat forever, it might just be 2 innings and we might only bat twice. And so that person might only get to bat once or twice for the whole game. So it takes a team effort. And so on Friday, like, it was really a team effort. Everybody came together and it was awesome. So on defense, so we were playing really tight, and we had this guy Colby come in, and Colby, thanks buddy. You caught like so many fly balls in the outfield. And we had a couple other new people jump in with us, but we were just playing really well together as a team, and it just felt really good. And then on offense, a couple of the innings, it wasn't really happening, but the other ones it was. We ended up winning 16-7. But it was such a team effort. Like, there's no way that we could have won with just, one person or another person. And so we're going to go into the fall, and now we've won a game, so that's behind us, and so now we can win more games. But softball is a really big team sport. You can't win with just one good person. Take a little stretch of baseball. Like, the Rangers found that out back in the day when they would pay certain people like A-Rod like $250 million and sink all their money into one player, but they couldn't win. Why? Because they'd spent all their money on one person, and so the rest of the team wasn't so strong, and they couldn't fill in all the gaps, and their pitching staff wasn't as good as it could be, because they didn't have any money. And so it takes a team. It takes the whole team to come together. And so on Friday, it was a team effort. We all came together, and we pulled out the victory, and it was crazy. At one point, it was really close, getting down to the last 20 minutes. It's like, oh man, we're so close to our first wins. Like, I can taste it, what's going to happen. And then the very last inning, we were up 16-6, so they had to get 10 runs to tie. That's crazy, right? But the very first guy, he hits a little hit. I miss it. It goes out. We have a lot of bad passes. He ends up running all the way around and gets a little home run just off not great hits. Like, oh man, here it comes. Here's what we've been doing, but then we were able to get the outs, and so we closed it out because the whole team came together. And so we really are better together as a team. We're stronger as a team when every person is playing their role. When you have a pitcher that can do the pitching spot, when you have a first baseman, a second baseman, shortstop, third baseman, outfielder, when everybody's playing their role and doing their part as well as they can, and is working together with the other teammates as well as they can, that is when the team works the best. It's not when you have a bunch of talented people who are all disconnected, but it's when you have a bunch of people working together. Kevin Durant said, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. And so obviously if you have talent and hard work, that's even better. But hard work will beat talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. Hard work is what gets us through, what helps us push through different obstacles in our life and overcomes different challenges in our life. And as a team, that's when we're able to do that the best. And so softball, we pushed through, we persevered, we came out with our win, and it feels so good. And so we're champions of week 8, of game 8. And so we can just hang on to that. But that was something that we did together. It's something that we persevered through together. And, if we would have been just all individuals, we couldn't have pulled it out. So we're going to be looking at teamwork. And what I want to do today is I want to look at 2 questions. One is, what is a team? And then 2, why do we need them? and why are they important? Because I think if we can answer those two questions today, then we'll really be set up for the next 6 weeks as we look through what it means to have successful teams. And this is something that will apply to all areas of our life. So let's go ahead and answer that first question: what is a team? And then we're going to jump into some stuff. But this will really set the stage, because when you hear team, you might think softball team, and then you may or may not think like work, possibly. But what we're going to be talking about for a team is this. A team is anywhere you have two or more people coming together for a common goal. And so anywhere you have two more people coming together for a common goal, that's a team. And so we have teams in all kinds of places. And so just starting at home, if you live with your family is a team. You have to have at least two people to have a family. And so you'll have a common goal, whether that's just peace at home and you just want peace and quiet, just keeping a roof over your head that doesn't have leaks in it, that's a goal. If you have kids, like getting them through school, whatever it might be, you have goals as a family. And so a family is a very natural team. And so everything we're going to be looking at the series will apply to your family. Also, where you work is a team. And so if you have at least one other person you work with, that's a team. And so your goal there is to make money so you can have a job and so you can keep paying the bills. And so that's your number one goal. And then there's lots of other goals if your team has like mission, if your work has like mission statement and vision and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is the bottom line. Got to make money, got to have, get a paycheck. And so your work is a team. And so everything we're going to be looking at over this series will be something that you can take to work, even if you're not the one that's in charge at work. These will be some things that you can really do to help improve the environment at your workplace. Maybe it's a toxic workplace and you feel like some people there, or just the way your whole workplace environment feels, it might be negative. Whatever it might be, like there are some things that we can learn here to really improve the environment of our workplace. And that's even before, or even if the other people never do anything else different, there's things that we can do to make it a more positive environment. And so work is another team. At church, this is a very natural team. We all have a common goal, and we're wanting to reach the world for Jesus. And so as we do that, we work together in a team environment. And so that's everybody as we meet together. That's all our groups that meet during the week, all of our different, we call them teams. So that's obviously a team, but teams that serve in different areas on Sundays during the week, those are teams. And so, two or more people working together, trying to have this common outcome, a common goal. And then there's lots of other things. If you have hobbies, people you do, hobby things with, those are teams. You have your neighbors, and that's a team. Like your goal is that you want a safe neighborhood. You don't want people breaking in. You don't want violence on the streets. Maybe you want your neighbors to cut their grass or, clean up in front of their door, whatever it might be, the person that lives above you to stop playing their music so loud at night. You have a goal, you have a team there with your neighbors. So anywhere you have a lot of people working together, or at least two, that's a team. And so we're going to be looking over these 6 weeks what it means for all these different areas, how we work together, some very common components, common denominators of what we can do to have our teams better. And so that's what a team is. And then we're going to look today at why it's important. And so to do that, we're going to be reading in Ecclesiastes. Aaron, if you want to go ahead and put it up on the screen, I'll read this for us. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 says, 2 are better than 1 because they have good reward for their toil. But if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. And so we're going to walk through these verses and talk through them and see what some reasons are, what some benefits are of having a team. And as we do this, I want you to think the different teams that I just mentioned and other teams that you might have thought of, different relationships you have, different goals, different teams that you're on. Do these identifications, do they match the experience that you've had with your teams? And already you can start brainstorming to yourself. And then when you meet with these different teams, what is it we can do to make the things that Scripture's telling us about how teams should operate, how we can bring that to be, how we can bring that to pass. And so let's look at a few things here in Ecclesiastes 4. And so the first one is simply this. So why do we have teams? It says 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for the toil. They get more done. 1 plus 1 is more than 2. And so this isn't like normal math, okay? This is team math. So team math is you have a bunch of individuals, but the sum is greater than the parts. And so 1 plus 1 is more than 2. We have a greater reward for our toil. We get more done. There's a lot of reasons for that, but part of it is we each have different strengths. We each have different things that we're good at, and we also have different things that we're bad at. We have weaknesses. And when we have a team, we have people that are able to strengthen the team in areas that we're weak, and then areas that we're strong, we can help the team in ways that other people might be weak. And so we have a good reward for the toil. Also, there's encouragement. And so how many times do you show up to work or any other kind of team environment, and maybe you haven't had the best of days, but someone else is in a good mood, and they're able to help encourage you. And even though you were in a really bad mood, they're able to lighten the mood. They're able to encourage you. And so you would have been extremely unproductive that day because you just didn't feel like doing anything, and the other person was able to help you along and encourage you, and y'all are able to get more done. We're able to get a lot more done working together as a team. And sometimes, honestly, sometimes that's not the truth, and we just feel like we might get more done alone, and that might be because there's a dysfunctional team. And so we're going to be looking at that over the next 6 weeks about what to do with teams to make them more functional. But a good team gets way more done than all of us working alone. And so we should be in teams because we can get a lot more done. So that vision that you have, that dream that you have, it can happen better if you have other people that help you. And so being able to share that, being able to share the load, being able to come together with other people and say, look, this is something incredible, this dream I have, are you with me? And get people to move along. At work, things happen so much better when everybody is doing their part. So there's good reward for their toil. So number one, teams are better because we get more done. Let's look at verse 10. It says, if they fall, one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him who's alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. So part of this, why teams are better, is because there's people to catch us on our bad days. When we have a bad day, someone is there for us. Now, let's talk about the work environment for a minute. So let's say that you work in... You have clients, and let's say that you're just having a really rough day, a bad day, you're in a bad mood, and you really just want to mouth off to somebody. Now, if you work by yourself, if you're self-employed, if you just happen to be the only person there, you can really do a whole lot of damage to the people you're supposed to be serving, to your clients, to your customers, whoever it might be, and then you can lose all your business. And it can just happen through a bad day, a bad week. Maybe you're just having a lot of family problems, and you're really needing to focus on that. And that's a very important thing, and it's taking you away from your work, so it's really hard to focus at work. If there's nobody else there to help you out during those hard family times, your customers don't know, and some of them don't care. Unfortunately, but that's just kind of how it is. They don't know what's going on, and all of a sudden they start leaving. They don't come back, and you're like, man, there's so much stuff going on. I just can't do all this, but there's no one there to help you. It's better if we have a team. It's better if we can say, look, honestly, I'm going through some hard stuff right now, and can you help me out? And you have a team that's there to help you out, to help carry some of your load. And so in your work environment, if you actually have a decent relationship with them and you've been there for them, they'll be there for you. And so maybe you're having a really rough time. They're able to help you out. They're able to carry the load. And so you fall, you mess up, you make some mistakes. Maybe at work, whatever it is that you do, maybe you do something really bad. You break an expensive piece of equipment, or I don't know, whatever it might be. You mess up something really bad, and there's no way that you can fix it on your own, but someone else on the team's able to do that. It could be a manager, it could be someone else that works with you, someone that knows. You can call up someone, whatever it might be. Someone can fix your mistake. It's so great to have that, that safety net. We have other people there that if we mess up, we know there's someone to kind of help mitigate some of that, and it's not as bad as it could be. And so when we fall, there's someone to catch us. When we're having a bad day, there's someone there to make it better. And so teams are better because they can help catch us on our bad days. In verse 11, it says, if two lie together, they'll keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone? And so it's not very cold here, like ever. Ever. It's like cold like a day or two out of the year. Like I have some plants that don't do very well in below freezing temperature. And it's seriously like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days a year that I have to worry about it. I have this little lime tree that keeps dying almost every year because we're not doing a good enough job like protecting it during the freeze. And so all year, it's growing, and then that freeze happens and it goes back down to like the little stump, and then it grows. It's been like the last 2 years, so this year is going to be different. We're going to keep it warm. But yeah, just a few days a year here is cold. The rest of it, it's way hot. Like this morning felt amazing. It was like in the 60s, and I wish it would be like that all year, like forever. That's my ideal temperature. But yeah, so it's not really cold here. I'm going camping in a couple weeks, and up in the mountains, it's going to be in the 30s or 40s at night. Like that's cold. And it's, high elevation, and so it's going to be cold, and so I need a really good sleeping bag because I don't have anyone to sleep next to keep me warm. Like I got to bundle up because I'll be by myself up there. But, this image of two people lying together and keep each other warm, like we benefit each other. Like we're able to keep each other warm. Like cold can kill you. And that's one reason why shelter is so important, is because if it's freezing outside and you're outside on the street, and if you're homeless, you can die. And so every year, like when it drops below freezing, that's why so many people will donate coats and sleeping bags and all kinds of things to the homeless to keep them warm at night, because it's so important that we stay warm. It keeps us alive. And so there's strength in numbers, and there's warmth in numbers. And so it's a warm environment. Let's take it more figurative. And so if you're by yourself, you might feel kind of lonely, and your heart might feel cold. And because you're doing everything by yourself, and let's say you've been by yourself for months and months and months and years and years and years, kind of like Castaway when Tom Hanks gets abandoned on the island. It's lonely. You start talking to your volleyball, because there's nothing else there. Like we need people, we need community. We need relationships. And so teams are great because we have that relationship. It keeps us warm. It keeps us encouraged. It keeps us going day to day. Otherwise, we get hopeless and we just give up. When you see people that have just given up on life and they're hopeless and nothing, no one can say anything to cheer them up. You go to visit and it's just like, because they've kind of given up and they've rejected that. We're people that don't have anybody. Just the idea of getting old and not having anyone there to be with you, like that's a scary thing, right? I don't know if y'all have ever thought about that. I'm not too close to getting old yet. I'm not that old, okay? I feel old sometimes, but the idea of just being alone, like that can be a scary thing. And so community, teamwork, we come together, we're strengthened in numbers. And so teamwork is good for that. And in verse 12, it says, though a man might prevail against one who's alone, two will withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. So this is an idea that when obstacles come in life, when opposition comes in life, if you're by yourself, it can be really hard to stand up and stand up against this opposition, overcome this obstacle. But when we have a team, when we have numbers, we're strengthened in that. And just kind of like I said, 1 + 1 is more than 2. When you have multiple people there, all working together, everybody has each other's back, no matter the obstacle, we can stand up to that. But if we're by ourselves, it's so easy to get knocked down, and then we can't get back up because there's too much holding us down, and there's too much opposing us, and we just can't do it on our own. But a team is strong. And so if we're together, we're strong. If you want to conquer, like in an army, you divide them up, like divide and conquer. But if they stay unified, it's a lot harder to overcome. When we're together, we're a lot stronger. A team is stronger together than all the individual parts. And so when obstacles come in life, we really want to have people that have our back because we don't want to face those alone. It's really easy when everything's going well and everything's fine and there's no problems. It's really easy to kind of slide into complacency with just everything in life. Like everything just kind of It just goes to what's comfortable. But whenever things are hard, when we have bad stuff happen at home, when we have bad stuff happen at work, when we have bad stuff that just happens globally, like environmentally, like things outside of our control happen. And, today is September 11th. And so it's been 15 years since, the attacks. And that's something that was an environmental thing that we had no control over. And all of a sudden the nation is rocked to the core. And it's like, what do we do? That's something that you have to have someone to stand strong with, because that's something we have no control over. There's so many things in life we can't control. Having a team helps prepare us for the stuff we can control, and then the things we cannot control. It helps keep us strong. It helps keep us going, even in the midst of all this crazy stuff happening around us. And so someone might be able to overcome you if you're by yourself, but if you have people with you, all of a sudden you're a lot stronger. And I have to brag real quick. So my son, he's in kindergarten, and the other day, and he was kind of roughly telling this story to his sister and his mom, my daughter and wife. But so he's telling them, and then his sister started to tell me, and he kind of got embarrassed, and he didn't really want to tell it. But basically what happened was they're at recess, and this one little boy was getting picked on by a bully, and Caleb goes up, and he gets in between them, and he's like, hey, you need to stop doing that. And then that boy runs away, and so he's protects this guy, this other boy from being hit by a stick. And so Caleb's little guy, right? And so, but to think of him standing up for someone, that's really cool. And they were stronger together. That one boy was getting beaten down by the bully. And y'all know this, but bullies, a lot of them are cowards, right? And so y'all might have a bully at work. You might have a bully, just in your neighborhood or whatever it might be. A lot of them are cowards, and it's easy to pick on the weak person. But once someone else stands up to them, they're like, whoa, I really didn't want to do that. So Caleb did that. Like, he stood up to that boy. The boy ran away, and the other boy was protected. So they had strength together. But just one by himself, the bully is like looking out there for someone that he can pick on, someone that looks smaller than him. But once there's two, all of a sudden, whoa, I don't know if I can do this, and he runs away. That's just an example of how we are stronger together. And a team is this idea that we can stand strong together. So think about your family. If your family just will stick together, it can overcome so much more than if you're all fighting inwardly. But if you lock arms together and say, look, life can be hard, and life's hard for all of us. We all have stuff that goes on, and really, we don't even know what's going on in each other's lives, like down to the core of it. But we all go through things that everybody else will be like, oh my gosh, they just knew what was happening. But if we stand strong together as a family, like, we can overcome that. Or think of some of your good friends, and it's my prayer that y'all find good friendships here at church that can help you out through these, because I know so many things that we've been able to help each other through just over these last couple years, that really big things happen in life, and we couldn't do them on our own, but we're there for each other, and we can stand up for each other and overcome together. And so teams, just to kind of go through these things again, verse 9, there's good reward for what we do. We can get a lot more done together, and so we want to be in teams because we get a lot more done. So it can be at work, it can be at home, it can be your hobbies, whatever dreams and goals you have in life. We can get more done together. Two, when we have a bad day, there's people there to catch us, people there to help us. So that way, our mistakes that we make on our bad day don't ruin everything else up. There's other people to kind of protect us from, really messing stuff up. Like, man, I'm going to go talk to someone, and you get someone holding you back. Like, oh, no, you don't want to go do that. I'll take care of it. We have people there to help us on our bad day. And then, that warmth that we have, that community that we have, that encouragement that we have together, it doesn't happen when we're alone. And then when obstacles come in life and we're stronger together, we can overcome those things together. So those are some reasons why being on a team is so important. And so, we talked about all those different things that qualify as a team. And really, again, it's just anywhere you have two or more people working together for a common goal. That's a team. And think of how much more we can get done together, how much more like that safety net that we have together, the encouragement that we have together. And we truly are better together. Now, over this series, we're going to be looking at there's 5 more weeks. We're going to be looking at 5 different ways, 5 different things that can help the environment of the team. And so if you want to kind of get ahead, you can start reading through a little bit in the book. But we're going to be looking at 5 components that are really important to have the best team. Now, let's say that you're in some kind of a leadership position, and these will be some really great things to look at to see, the teams that I'm on, do we have these things? And what's something that we can do to do better? If you're a parent, you can look at your family and say, how are we doing in these areas? Is there anything that we can do better, to do a better job at this at work? And then even if you're not in a manager position, just being on a team, like we all have so much influence over how things go. Just, our attitude, our positive encouragement to do things, we can bring change from the grassroots level up, and we can start a change. And so I hope this will be a really encouraging and helpful series that we're going to be doing. I've learned so much. I'm just reading through all these scriptures and some different books and different articles I've been reading. But we truly are better together. We really can accomplish so much more together than we can separately. And then kind of bring it to the church. Like, it's my prayer, that we'll be stronger together, that we can do some things that we never thought we could do because we're working together. And each of us, our strengths, we're working together and doing something amazing. And let me pray for us, and we'll be done. God, we thank you so much for this morning. God, we thank you that you set things up from the beginning to be a team, that Adam and Eve, Adam's alone in the garden, and you said that it wasn't good for him to be alone. And so you made a helper, you made Eve, so they could be a team, and they could accomplish things, more together than they could alone. God, I just thank you that you have just set it up to be like that. And that, God, that you, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that you've been eternally in community. And God, I just pray that we'll experience true community here at church. God, I pray that we'll experience true community in our families, in our workplaces, and I pray that we can really help all these different teams. And God, we just pray you'll challenge us and equip us to be a change agent in all these teams that we serve in. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Well, thank you all so much for coming. I do want to say before we go, I'm going to be sitting up here at the stage for a couple minutes. If y'all have any questions at all about anything we're looking at, of course, make sure you get a copy of the book. One thing that, let's say that you're still kind of new to this whole God thing. The first step in really being a part of our team is saying yes to Jesus and saying, Jesus, I want to serve you, I want to follow you, please save me. That's how we get on team with Jesus, and Jesus is the best team to be on anywhere. He will never fail you. If you have any questions about what it means to follow Jesus, what it means to be a Christian, like how to know that you can be sure that you're saved, come talk to me in just a minute. And if you have any other questions, you can come see me as well.